On the 25th of January, Harry Scarff puts his British and Commonwealth titles on the line against Conah Walker over in Nottingham. Harry, thank you so much for your time. Uh, let's start off with this. How is your camp going? How is training? Is everything all right ahead of the fight?
Yeah, really good. Yeah, everything's going perfect. To be honest, I've had a very good camp, and it's been a nice freshen up this camp as well. I've had a bit of a change in training setup, so yeah, I've been yeah really enjoyed it.
What are your thoughts on Walker? Because I think you guys met before in the amateurs. Obviously, he's come on, I think, leaps and bounds in the pros, and he's had a good win over Lewis Ritson, I think, in November. What do you think of your opponent?
Yeah, I think Connor's a decent lad. He's all right, but I think the fights he has had, they've suited him. I think he was brought in to lose against Cyrus Patterson. I've said that before, and he took his opportunity. So fair play to him for taking his opportunity. But I think in the Crocker fight, I think Crocker overlooked him a little bit, seeing that he'd lost to people at a lower weight and whatnot. And I think yeah, Crocker overlooked him a little bit, held his feet with him, and just had a trade up with him, played into his hands a little bit. And he obviously lost that fight on a close decision. And then Ritson, I think Ritson's well past it, and he was getting caught a bit by Ritson, but he's riding a bit of a crest of a wave. But I think it's my time to stamp my authority on the division, and I'll be doing that in this fight against Walker.
Obviously, last time out you were out in Germany. How do you look back on your previous fight?
Yeah, I think Germany was it was all right. I think I felt like I was a bit let down by my promoter in Wasserman because they won the purse bids to host it in the UK. And then it ended up going to Germany because they were late getting a date and a venue over in accordance to the IBF rules. So that was frustrating. Then it got brought over to Germany, rushed through, and I had a good opponent. Chukhadzhian was a good fighter. I was halfway. I was up until about halfway. I think they had me up. So it was a decent fight. I think it was one where my preparation wasn't great. Um, a lot of things going on, like I just mentioned, with the promotion of the fight, and it kind of put a negative spin on it a little bit. And it was a good fighter. He's gone on and had a good fight with Boots Ennis and give him a very tough fight. So think it kind of shows what level I'm at, and especially I think on my night as well, I would have had the beating of him. So, yeah,
Yeah, that was kind of my next question because obviously you fought Karen and the preparation, as you mentioned, wasn't great. The venue and the location thing just was a bit of a mess. So do you think that with a proper preparation and proper camp, you can challenge some of these top level fighters like Boots, like Karen again?
yeah, definitely, definitely. I feel like this year I want to just be ideal to win the British outright. That would be something that sort of a bucket list kind of thing. Take a Longsdale belt home, that would be quality, and then push on again for a world title. But yeah, I've got no doubts in my mind that on my night and everything all being well, I'd go in them fights and I can win them fights. If I'd like the opportunity again to fight Karen again. But it's the way it worked out, and it is what it is. But there's been changes since, and I'm trying my best to get the best out of myself with my switching gyms and changing my environment. Just trying to get every little bit I can out of myself for my career.
Are you a free agent at the moment, or are you
Yeah.
signed to someone?
No, no, I'm a free agent. I sort of yeah was released by Wasserman. I felt like I said I felt let down by that whole situation in that last fight. I wasn't really feeling the love. So yeah, that's that.
Are you hoping by any chance, because obviously this is a DAZN show that you might get a deal with Eddie Hearn?
Yeah, a deal's all good, but I think it's a case of winner stays on. If I win big fights on a big promotion like DAZN, then I'm going to stay on anyway. Regardless of a contract, I'm sure there'll be options as there are on these kind of shows when you get opportunities. There'll be an option for your next fight, and they'll have an option on that. And yeah, we'll go from there. But yeah, exactly. You got Frank Warren coming to DAZN, so DAZN is really the home of boxing. You've got the two biggest promoters in the country coming together on DAZN. So yeah,
Oh,
hopefully,
yeah.
I can make a home there, and they work with Saudi and everything. So yeah, I'm looking forward to it. Yeah.
I guess the only way to get those big title shots is to keep on winning, but it also helps, doesn't it, to have someone who can get those big fights over the line, yeah?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, it helps to have, a powerful promoter, obviously, and and a network where know, being able to showcase your ability and box more often. That's something I want to do as well this year. I want to box in January, have a good win against Walker, and then push on again a couple of months later. Defend my British again, and then see what pops up. But yeah, I'm very confident at the minute. I feel like this stage in my career, it's exciting because there's been a big change in my training setup and that, and it's a fresh start with a fight on DAZN and under Matchroom. So it's exciting. I really do feel excited for this.
Derby's not like a million miles away from Nottingham, so have you got a big following coming down to the fight?
Tickets have gone really well. So yeah, no, thank you for everyone who's supported me and bought a ticket, because I've got a good loyal fan base. I think people know that I'm just a normal lad at the end of the day. That's it. And I think people know that, and I see people, and everyone's on board, and it's going to be a good night. It's going to be a good night in Nottingham. It's only down the road. We've got I went to school quite close, like on the border of Nottingham as well. So there'll be a few people from all over coming. But yeah, man, the Derby faithful are going to be there in numbers, and yeah, it's going to be some atmosphere.
Absolutely. You're kicking off the year, obviously, with a fight in January. How many more fights in 2025 would you like to have?
I'd like to I'd like to box. It's got to be two as a minimum, so two or three really. So yeah, like I say, fighting in January is going to stand me in good stead. I could box again in March or April, then summer, and then towards the end of the year. So I've got no problem with that. That's something I've always wanted. And due to politics and me being a bit of a awkward, risky fight for people, I've always had to wait for my opportunities, and it's like with the British title with Echo, with Echo Esserman, I had to force myself into a mandatory position. I won the English against Louis Green in a shutout points decision against him, and then I had to wait another year, I think it was, until I got my chance to fight for the British. So, I've had to wait. I've had to do it the hard way, but I think that stands me in good stead. And I'm happy. I'm just a happy fighter at the minute. And as they say in boxing, it's cliche, isn't it? But a happy fighter is a dangerous fighter, and I think that's true. I've seen that before in my other performances. When there's been a bit of something not quite right, I haven't performed quite the best. But I'm more than happy at the moment, so I'm expecting a big performance.
I was covering your British title win, and I remember afterwards you saying that you're the kind of fighter who kind of rips up the script, who comes in and takes his opportunities. Do you see yourself as the guy, who maybe is not in the limelight, but if you put him in, he will cause trouble to, to whoever the limelight is on?
Yeah, exactly. I think you look at that fight with Echo. I think a lot of people wrote me off, but I think certain people in boxing, in small boxing circles, know how good I am. That's why I have been avoided in my career. But then, Echo he won the British title outright. He was a very good British champion, undefeated. And I went in there and won convincingly against him. So, I feel like sometimes maybe I don't get the credit that I deserve, but it'll come because I keep working hard, and I keep improving as well. That's something that I can see at the moment. There's definitely improvement. That's a scary proposition for Walker to build going into this fight dealing with.
Just a couple more questions. Just basically some stories from boxing. For example, Tyson Fury. Do you think we'll see him in the ring against Joshua this year?
Hopefully, I think that's got to happen for me. Yeah, I think that's got to happen. I think Fury, Joshua, where do they both go? That's the massive fight that's been spoken about for years. It's the time to make it. So yeah, just get it on, earn loads of money, massive fight for Britain, and yeah, why not?
I know obviously Daniel Dubois has a big fight coming up himself, but should he ever take on Usyk in a rematch, do you think he's the man to beat Oleksandr Usyk?
Not for me. No, I don't think so. I think Dubois he's done great against AJ, and he's definitely improved over the last few years. But for me, Usyk's just too good. Yeah, I think he's just too good. He can adapt to everything. There was obviously the questionable low blow in the last one, but even after that, he beat him up and he stopped him, didn't he, on his feet? He sort of beat it out of him. So yeah, for me, no, it's too far. The skill gap's too much.
And just last one, do you think we'll see Conor Benn and Chris Eubank get it on this year?
I think they need to box. I think they need to box. I think they're both not done much recently. They've had sort of so-so performances. They haven't had big. They're not coming off big fights. There's all the hype around it from last time and the failed test and everything else, and it's just a massive fight. I think why mess around with anything else? They're going to earn so much more money in that fight, and there's the legacy thing, and and it's a massive fight for British boxing. So give the British fans what they want. These domestic fights are what it's all about, aren't they? That's when they're the best fights. I think I touched on the other day with someone saying like sometimes I think British fighters are a bit hesitant to fight each other because bragging rights and they don't want to lose to another Brit and stuff. But that's why these British title fights and going into something like Benn and Eubank. That's why there's so much on the line because it's there's a lot of pride on the line with them. And I think yeah, they need to happen and they need to happen more often all over in different weights and whatnot.